it's been a Pauline week, and I've said some things about Paul that aren't probably don't make some people happy. I was watching a guy on YouTube, a pastor, and he was writing on the whiteboard and telling how Paul was so important to Christianity, and in the end he said, and if you don't believe in Paul, you can go to hell. I'll try to find that.
So in essence, Jesus will be saying, what'd you do with Paul? What'd you do with what I told you through Paul? What'd you do with Paul's gospel? You see, I called Paul for a purpose, to give you the way of salvation. What'd you do with it? Well, God, I didn't think Paul should be in the Bible, so I ripped him out. Go to hell, is what Jesus Christ will say.
Kind of a post-mortem to all this. There's a quote I read in a book that said, Judas gave Jesus over to the authorities to be tortured and put to death. Paul, it is claimed, buried Christ's spirit. Paul was charged with substituting his theology over the simple teachings of that itinerant preacher from Galilee. So let's all get the detritus out of our thinking by looking first at the accusers of Paul and go ahead. And I come to America for that one, because one of the people that really didn't like Paul was Thomas Jefferson. And 20 years after he signed the Declaration of Independence, he came up with his own Bible called The Life and Morals of Jesus of Nazareth. And it's known as the Jefferson Bible. And Jefferson considered Paul a wrecking ball against Christianity, a place where people went for a false prophet, a guy who put in all this work, hated women, hated sex, said that women should never talk in church or the synagogue. And I leave you with the words of George Bernard Shaw, who's the Irish playwright. And he told a reporter that, quote, it would have been better if Paul had never been born. And anybody who puts themselves up for inspection, like Paul, is going to find detractors. But you look at what Paul did, and misguided as he seemed to be, and contradictory as he seemed to be, and people believe he put himself at times above Jesus, or said, I know what Jesus meant, and I'm going to interpret the Gospels. Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that at all. Nothing wrong with showing reason and saying, well, you know, when they say it's a cubit, it's, a cubit is from your elbow to your, okay, so it's 2.5 feet. But the problem I personally find with Paul is that it didn't seem like his missionary work was atonement for the Christians he had killed, who he had stoned to death. It's something that I have worried upon I've read all these letters, all these epistles and the pastorals and Philemon, and I find that what a great message at times, but Paul got off the rails, and he, ensured that he would be executed by going to Jerusalem and then going to Rome. And he wanted it. I don't see where Peter did, and the other disciples did not like Paul. They did not like them. And the Essenes around them did not like Paul. Because Paul was the one who said, yeah, Jesus said that. I can sell that. And basically, he put up franchises of Pauline churches, and his epistles, he made sure that they were preserved or written for him. His influence on Luke and Matthew can be seen a bit in some of the message. But when you are doing things that are against the quotes of the Messiah, Jesus, you wonder if you're doing more harm than good. And that would require so many churches around the world to change their attitude toward Paul and his epistles, and look at them and say, well, in this part he's not quite as crazy, but in this part he's contradicting Jesus, and it sounds good, but it's not correct. And I'm not sure I'm gonna convince anyone that Paul was bad for Christianity, but I don't think he was I don't think that was what was intended by Jesus.